Archbishop Teofilo Camomot. Teofilo Bastida Camomot, a revered figure in the annals of Philippine religious history, was born into a humble setting on March 3, 1914, in Barangay Cogon, Carcar, Cebu. He was the third child of his parents Luis Camomot and Angela Bastida, who provided a devoutly Catholic upbringing, instilling in him values that would deeply influence his spiritual journey. The early sacraments in the life of Teofilo present a fascinating glimpse into the religious customs and practices of the early 20th century. He was baptized the day after his birth, and his confirmation was received later on August 22, 1915. During his time at Karkar Elementary School, Teofilo, affectionately known as Lolong, became well known among his peers. His nickname, given to him by classmates, friends, and relatives, was a testament to a close knit community he was part of. After completing his elementary education, Lolong decided to assist his father in the farm and envisioned of becoming an agriculturist. However, this dream was met with resistance from his mother. From an early age, he displayed an extraordinary sense of empathy and compassion towards those less fortunate, wherein he even asked his mother for food and rice to give to the farmers and the poor. His elder brother, Father Diosdado, visited and saw Teofilo was not attending school. He asked him if he wanted to enter the seminary. In 1932, at the age of 18, Teofilo Camomot entered the Seminarium Menor de San Carlos in Cebu City, where he pursued his philosophical and theological studies. Teofilo's journey through his ecclesiastical education at San Carlos Seminary is a compelling narrative of humility and quiet determination. Despite the rigors of academic and spiritual formation, Teofilo maintained a modest and withdrawn demeanor throughout his initial years among the younger seminarians embarking on their path to priesthood. Progressing into the Seminarium Menor, Teofilo encountered more challenging years of tackling philosophy and theology, but he still used to live his life following a routine of prayer, liturgy, and studies which complement his docile personality. During holiday breaks, he spent it with his family back home in Karkar. To make up for his long absence, Teofilo took over the household chores like chopping firewood, fetching water, or helping prepare meals. After the day's responsibilities were met, he went out walking for hours, reaching as far as the mountainside. His mission was simple yet profound, which is to share kindness and compassion with those who dwelled on the peripheries of society. He spent a lot of time with the farmers and marginalized community living on the outskirts of the city were often overlooked, their struggles invisible to the hurried eyes of city dwellers. With each step taken on the mountain paths, he carried with him bags of corn, rice, and vegetables to give away. Sometimes he also asked his mother for some medicine, clothes, whatever he could carry, as what was stated by his younger sister Remedios. Moreover, as World War II engulfed the globe, the Philippines at this juncture found itself a precarious position. Still under American colonial rule, its strategic location made it a vital chess piece in the Pacific theater of war. The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, marked a pivotal moment not just for the United States but for the Philippines as well. Within hours of the attack on Pearl Harbor, Japanese forces commenced their invasion of the Philippine Islands, signaling the start of a dark and tumultuous period in the country's history. Cebu, one of the Philippines' major islands, became a critical operational point for the Japanese forces. The Second World War caused great physical, social, and economic dislocation in the new archdiocese. Many old churches were reduced to rubble. Little was left of the cathedral, which had just been embellished for the 20th sacerdotal anniversary of Archbishop Gorordo in 1940. Teofilo was in the middle of his theological studies at the Seminary Mayor de San Carlos when World War II erupted. The war brought about poverty, suffering, injustice, and persecution as expected. It was a perilous period for men capable of bearing arms, as they were viewed with suspicion and often harassed by Japanese soldiers, particularly with the growing influence of the Cebuano guerrilla movement. Despite the risk, Teofilo the seminarian continued his charitable missions for the underprivileged without going into hiding. He persisted in wearing his white sutana even when venturing out, as his sister Remedios recounts. Despite warnings about the dangers of being easily identifiable in his cassock, he remained steadfast, believing that his presence as a priest provided people with hope and strength in challenging times. In spite of these odds, he was later on ordained to the priesthood on December 14, 1941. Because of the outbreak of the World War II, he celebrated his first Mass at home rather than in the traditional parish setting. He was then appointed assistant to different parishes. His approach to his pastoral duties was marked by a quiet determination. He devoted considerable effort to his homilies, meticulously crafting them and writing them down with his distinct broad, heavy strokes, which marks a testament to his dedication and the personal touch he brought to his ministry. Moreover, his role as a confessor showcased another dimension of his unwavering commitment to his spiritual duties. He often spent long hours in the confession box before and after every Mass, offering a sanctuary of reconciliation to those seeking to mend their relationship with God. In 1943, amidst the turmoil and shadows of the World War II, Father Teofilo Camomot was assigned to his first role as a parish priest at Santa Teresa de Avila in Talisay at the age of 29. Talisay itself would become a focal point in the liberation of Cebu, as it was here that the American forces made their historic landing on March 26, 1945. This event marked the beginning of the end of the Japanese forces in the region, but also underscored the immense struggle and sacrifice that preceded it. The young priest's next challenge was to address the spiritual and emotional wounds of his parishioners. Many were grappling with the loss of family members, while others were trying to come to terms with the horrors they had witnessed or endured. When he arrived, Talisay was all but leveled to the ground by the relentless bombing of the liberation forces. So his first task was to rebuild the parish rectory and to reconstruct a place of worship for his scattered flock. His gentle and amiable ways immediately won the affection of his parishioners, and soon a chapel with makeshift convent were erected amidst the ruins. Father Kamomot's tenure in Talisay stands a remarkable chapter in his life. Over the span of 12 years, he dedicated himself to a mission that was challenging and rewarding, the tireless pursuit of souls. His approach was not limited to the confines of his own faith community. Rather, he extended his hand in fellowship to individuals regardless of their religious belief, embodying a truly inclusive spirit. In the early years of his assignment, the youthful and energetic priest embarked on a mission that would forever endear him to his parishioners. With an unwavering commitment and a heart full of compassion, he made it his duty to visit each member of his parishioners, reaching out to those living in the remotest barrios nestled on mountain tops. Years later, a former parishioner remembered, he made an effort to know nearly everyone in the parish, even visiting those who live far away. It was remarkable how he managed all the parish responsibilities by himself. Elpidio, Teofilo's brother, affirms his dedication of his duties as a priest by stating, Teofilo went above and beyond to help those in need, demonstrating kindness, compassion, and generosity, especially towards the less fortunate, which became more pronounced during his time in the Roman Catholic priesthood. Lourdes Villahermosa, an active church volunteer in Talisay, portrayed the young priest as a compassionate father figure who devotedly cared for the congregation entrusted to him by the Lord. Describing him as remarkably humble, she highlighted his dedication to hard work and serving others. His deep concern extended to the spiritual and physical well being of all, even at the cost of his own needs. He provided spiritual guidance to many individuals across the parishes he served and introduced fresh perspective on Christian charity through a renewed emphasis on loving one's neighbors. Known affectionately as Padre Lolong by his congregation, he was always ready to share from his pocket whatever he had. When one pocket was empty, he would reach into the other and give just as generously. Even when his own resources were depleted, he would subtly encourage others to contribute. One story recounts how Father Camomot encouraged his parishioners to donate rice, which they did generously, assuming it was for the convent. Later, his kitchen staff reluctantly revealed that the priest had instructed them to pack the rice into bags, which he then distributed to the needy communities in the mountains. In the end, very little remained for the convent's pantry. On different occasions, Father Kamamot was on his regular visit to the sick and homes when he spotted a man collecting tuba atop a coconut tree. The man whose trousers were torn caught the attention of the priest. Showing kindness, Father Kamamot motioned for the man to come closer. He then took off his own pants from under his cassock and handed them to the man, saying, "These are for you." The man was astonished as the priest continued on his way. His generosity made him vulnerable to beggars, swindlers, and even thieves. Given the long line of people seeking aid, food, and medicine at the parish door before dawn, this included unemployed individuals pretending to be in need but misusing the assistance for drinking and gambling. Despite warnings from his siblings, especially his elder sister Hedelisa, he remained trusting. The priest's unwavered belief was, "Ang mangingilad kausara mangilad, ug ang tawo dili mangilad pirmi." This reflected his faith in humanity's inherent goodness. The fruits of Father Kamamot's pastoral labor and the respect that his parishioners held for him was noticed by the church authorities. They saw in this humble, self-effacing man a beacon of light that would bring more people closer to God through his shining example. The fruit. So they decided to officially proclaim him as a herald of faith, a steward of grace, a defender of the faith, and the successor of the apostles. They decided to ordain him bishop. On March 25, 1955, Camomot became the auxiliary bishop of Haro Iloilo. He was ordained as bishop on May 29, 1955 and remained in Haro until 1959. Apart from conducting masses, he dedicated his time to visiting the sick and less fortunate. In 1959, he was transferred to the Archdiocese of Cagayan de Oro as a coadjutor archbishop with the right of succession. During this period, he established groups like the Paulinian Faith Defenders and the Carmelite Tertiaries of the Blessed Eucharist, which later evolved into the Daughters of Saint Teresa to support the Church's evangelization efforts. Due to kidney issues, he had to step down from his role as coadjutor archbishop in 1970. Returning to Cebu, he was assigned to the Santo Tomas de Villanueva parish in Barangay Alpardo, Cebu City, accompanied by sisters from the congregation established in Mindanao. Later in 1976, he was reassigned to his hometown of Carcar. Despite concerns from family members about potential exploitation of his kindness, he continued to see the goodness in everyone he encountered. On September 27, 1988, Archbishop Camomot, after participating in the feast of Saint Vincent de Paul at the Seminario Mayor de San Carlos and visiting the Carmelite Monastery in Barangay Mabolo, was on his way back to Carcar with the scoffer. Unfortunately, while he was asleep, their vehicle overturned in Sitio Magtalisay, Barangay Sangat, San Fernando, Cebu. Tragically, Archbishop Camomot passed away for his injuries around 14 Philippine time, but his scoffer survived the accident.